Hi everyone, it's Chenzo from Reality Art Pod, here to talk about Survivor Season 47, Episode 12, titled Operation Italy. Last week on Survivor, it was the Rachel show, where she formed the Underdog Alliance, went on a journey, won an advantage, then immunity, giving the group the power to vote Kyle out of the game. Before I dive in, I put a link in the description to my playlist, where you can catch up on my previous recaps. If you like the content, consider liking and subscribing. My recaps aren't meant to replace the original material, so if you missed the episode, I put a link below to get started with Paramount Plus for free. This episode especially is worth watching. In my opinion, this was the best episode in the new era. So let's dive into it. After Kyle's vote off, back at camp, Sue is thrilled to bits that her nemesis Kyle is gone. She claims that Kyle called she and Caroline Tweedledee and Tweedledum. Sam is aware of the quote-unquote Underdog Alliance, you know, the group that call themselves the Underdogs, but are the majority of 5 in the top 7 and hold all of the active advantages. Sam vows to fight until the end. In the morning, Sue is filthier than ever. The show spotlights she and Caroline's final 2 alliance. Sue is proud of Caroline, and Caroline appreciates Sue's ballsy nature in the game. Genevieve apologizes to Andy for putting his name out there in the last round, telling us that her strategy is basically to play dead in the game and make herself small, which is quite the task, but pretty much all she can do. She quickly throws Rachel's name out there to Teeny, calling Rachel a huge threat in the game, which is definitely not playing dead, and by saying Rachel is playing a better game than Teeny, she has offended Teeny, and Teeny quickly tattles about this conversation back to Andy and Rachel. They head to their reward challenge where they need to individually race through a maze, collecting balls along the way, then land their balls on a perch. The first person to land 2 balls wins the reward, and Jeff gets to sensually announce the sanctuary reward, an Italian feast, finishing it all off, tiramisu, and an overnight stay at the sanctuary. They get started. Rachel gets to a quick start and is bodying this, crawling through her net like she was trained in the ball army. Sam annihilates his ball crawl. Okay, Sam. The ball throwing comes down to Rachel and Sam, with Sam winning the reward, so he'll be mamboing Italiano. He's told that there will be letters from home at the sanctuary and has to pick 2 players to join him. That's when tears start flowing. Sue's dirt Scara is running. Sam picks Andy to join him, saying that he promised Andy in advance, and Genevieve saying that for some reason he can't have Italian food without Genevieve. So those 3 leave for their reward, and Teeny is again offended, saying that Sam picking Genevieve was a bad move. Rachel has a confessional after it all, saying that this is only good for her game, so that's something. Al santuario, Sam sta provando il tiramisù per la prima volta. Non dice se gli piace. Sam apologizes to Andy for not being the best ally to him earlier in the game, and picks Genevieve's brain about her Keyshawn trauma. She opens up about how she regrets hurting Keyshawn, and how she doesn't want to get close to people in the game anymore, but she does seem to be bonding a lot with the guys here. They get emotional reading their letters, which seems to give them some great motivation and morale in the game. Back at camp, Teeny is pissed off and throwing a fit, saying that Sam very specifically should have picked Teeny instead of Genevieve. And while I feel like Teeny was overreacting here, I liked that this turned into a bonding moment between Teeny, Caroline, Sue, and Rachel. They make a tentative Final Four deal. Since the 2 groups end up spending the whole night together, the group of 4 has such a great advantage to become the majority. At the sanctuary, Andy has a plan. He exposes the Underdog Alliance, name and all. He elaborates that his plan is to create suspicion that they have an idol to get everyone to split their votes between Sam and Genevieve. Then he would flip his vote and vote with Sam and Genevieve to turn on Rachel and flush her block a vote advantage out of the game with Rachel. They stay up all night strategizing.
I think Operation Italy is good.
Oop, Andy said the thing again for the 4th time in a row. There was no way Operation Italy wasn't going to be the episode title. One thing I know is Miss Survivor loves Andy. Operation Italy is a multi-pronged plan. Step 1 is getting back to camp. Sam comes back acting cool and confident. Genevieve makes a fake idol with her feet, and Andy is getting back to the underdogs and acting like he's annoyed with Sam and Genevieve. And step 2 is Andy spreading rumors that Genevieve has an idol. So he starts sparking the paranoia that Genevieve has an idol with the group. They head to their immunity challenge where they need to start off on the Debbie Weiner balance beam, balancing a ball on a stick, then using barbells, push a skull along a track. Finally, the first player to roll 3 balls on a balancing paddle into divots will win individual immunity for the week. They get started. Teeny, Sam, and Rachel nail their balance beam and get to their skull crushing, which looks like a lot of fun. It all comes down to the paddles, where Rachel is the only one who has any skill. She demolishes the competition, honestly. She gets 3 balls and nobody else even gets 1 ball. So Rachel wins immunity. Obviously, this throws a huge wrench in Operation Italy. Back at camp, Genevieve and Sam lick their wounds and vow to vote for each other in the end. They want to revive Operation Italy and pick a different target. The show makes it seem like Rachel, Andy, and Genevieve didn't discuss what they would do if Rachel won immunity when they were on the reward. They probably did. Andy is already trying to get back to work, convincing convincing the group to split the votes with him being in the bigger split, but he's struggling to get Teeny to comply with the split vote. Teeny approaches Genevieve, who flashes Teeny the fake idol, which seems to instantly work on Teeny, reassuring Teeny that they need to do the split vote. But the game is afoot, Caroline is afraid of getting votes, and Sue is considering playing her idol on Caroline. Rachel is also considering playing her steal a vote to prevent unexpected things like this from happening. So they head to Tribal, where talk is about the sanctuary reward, complete of course with side-eye from Teeny. Genevieve reintroduces herself not as Genevieve the person or player, but the community member after going to the sanctuary. Teeny says that not being chosen made them think about their place in the game, and the non-chosen players are surprisingly pretty open about how they bonded strategically in the other player's absence. Nothing much more to say. They get to the votes. Jeff asks for advantages, and surprisingly to me, none are played, but Sam and Genevieve do a performative little skit, like Genevieve has an idol but is deciding not to play it. If you know me, you know I love a performative little skit. Jeff reads the votes, and there's 2 votes in there for Sam, Genevieve, and Caroline, but the last vote is for Caroline, and Caroline is voted out by a wild plurality vote of 3 to 2 to 2, organized by Andy. So we say goodbye to Caroline here, who started off on the Tuku tribe, quickly teaming up with Sue in the premiere, bonding over watching Survivor at home with their families. They'd go on to team up with Gabe and run their tribe. We always saw that Caroline had stuff going on, bonding with the other women on rewards, eventually turning on Gabe. She had a lot of game going on. From what I've seen, viewers seem to love her. I liked her. I had her 3rd in my mid-season rankings, which were also a mess, but I got the vibe that the show didn't love Caroline as much. It seems like they didn't know what to do with her in the edit, and had this been 60-minute episodes, I feel like she would have been completely purpled from the show, aside from being Sue's friend. In the grand narrative, her vote off should be the last straw that triggers the tsunami, because Sue is going to be royally pissed about this, and she's looking for someone to hate right now. Caroline didn't get many confessionals this episode. She actually got a lot of content in the previous episode, with her sharing about her struggle with ADHD, and maybe if they went back to showing us some photos from home. When they do those personal segments, it'll help us to learn more about these people. She goes out here kind of quietly, but also in a cool way. I was really shocked that Operation Italy ended up working out. I don't think we'll see Caroline again on the show, but I definitely want to give her flowers for a game well played. She should be proud of herself. To wrap things up, my player of the episode this week has to be Andy. He showed up to that reward with a whole presentation about how they were going to pull off this impressive heist that wasn't foolproof, and he orchestrated it really well. Honorable mention to his accomplices, who were a good team, but it was a good plan to start. I think it was a good move to turn on Rachel because she is his biggest competition, but while they won this battle, they're coming into the final 6 against a trio that's strapped up with advantages that they have to use or lose. So that might be the tsunami, and I can't wait to see it. So that's all I have to say about this episode. I'll be back next Wednesday to talk about part 1 of the finale. If you liked the video, consider liking and subscribing. Let me know in the comments, what did you think about this episode? Do you think the tsunami's coming? Until next time, have a nice weekend. Bye!